In this ever-expanding world of AI, are we just drowning in answers? Or are we actually starting to build solutions? Real solutions that make a difference in our businesses? Beat. I mean, navigating the sheer volume of AI tools out there can feel, honestly, like a massive challenge sometimes. Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we try to cut through some of that noise and guide you towards what genuinely matters. Today, we're embarking on, I think, a really fascinating exploration. It's about a pretty significant shift happening in artificial intelligence. We're moving beyond AI that just, answers your questions to AI that actually builds things. Tangible assets. Real usable stuff for your business. Our focus for this deep dive is a tool called Perplexity Labs. People are calling it your personal virtual analyst, maybe even like a lean consulting team you can call on any time. We'll unpack what really makes it different, how you can command it effectively to get really top-tier performance, and look at some of its practical strategic applications. Our mission today is really to help you understand how this particular AI can transform raw information, your data, your ideas into actionable strategies, concrete plans you can deploy right away. So let's maybe kick things off with a problem many of you listening, especially business owners, entrepreneurs, you might recognize this. Tool fatigue. Okay, you open your browser, there are just countless AI chatbots. They all promise answers. But how many of them really create, strategic value? Which ones help you work smarter, not just harder, by actually building something useful?
That really is the core issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the fundamental shift with Perplexity Labs is, well, it's not just spitting out text answers. It's more like an engine. Or, like you said, a virtual analyst, a lean consulting team you can spin up instantly. And the key is, it creates actual assets. We're talking things like complex financial spreadsheets, interactive dashboards you can click around in, even little mini applications like a custom ROI calculator. You can generate detailed market analysis charts, full in-depth strategic reports. And the real game changer here is that these aren't just rough drafts. They're often completed, professional-grade deliverables, and they get finished in minutes, not the weeks or months it would normally take.
Wow, that minutes, not weeks thing for, say, a strategic report. I mean, for many business owners, that's not just saving time. It sounds like a profound shift in just how work gets done. It sounds like we're moving from just getting quick facts to getting like fully completed strategic work.
Right.
So how does that fundamentally change how a business owner might approach their day-to-day challenges?
Well, it means you're no longer just doing research. You're actively producing finished strategic work and at incredible speed.
That's a powerful distinction, definitely. Let's dig into that a bit deeper then. What exactly makes the Labs version so uniquely powerful, especially compared to the standard Perplexity, maybe the Pro mode that some of us might already be using?
Yeah, it's a really huge distinction. Think of standard Perplexity, even the Pro mode, as like your supersonic research assistant. You ask it something, and maybe in, 3 or 4 minutes, it synthesizes info from all over the web, it cites its sources, gives you a concise, pretty well-structured answer. It's great for basic research, quick fact-checking, maybe drafting short bits of content. It's like having the world's fastest librarian, basically. Perplexity Labs, though, that's your analytical and construction powerhouse. When you activate Labs, you're essentially assigning the AI a much more complex, multi-layered project. And this often takes longer, maybe 10 minutes or more, because it isn't just searching for information. It's performing a whole sequence of intricate actions behind the scenes. It does deep research, accessing and analyzing hundreds of data sources, way more than standard. Then, and this is where it gets really fascinating, it moves to code execution, which means it actually writes and runs Python code in a secure environment. It's essentially programming on the fly. It does this to analyze data, create spreadsheets, perform complex calculations tailored to your specific request. And importantly, it can process your uploaded files, CSVs, Excel sheets, text documents. It digs into your unique business data for insights. And then it goes beyond just numbers, right? It generates charts, bar graphs, pie charts, line graphs to visualize that data for you. And yeah, it can even build simple mini apps, these little interactive interfaces like a custom ROI calculator or maybe a progress tracker for a project you're working on.
Okay, hold on. So when you say code execution, just for maybe a non-technical listener like me sometimes, does that mean it's actually programming a solution from scratch? Or is it more like using pre-built templates? Can you give like a super quick, tangible example of what that Python code might do? Is it building a custom financial model just for me right there?
Yeah, it's effectively programming. It writes unique Python code tailored to analyze your specific data or instructions. So it's building custom models or generating unique insights rather than just plugging your numbers into a pre-existing template. It's quite dynamic. You could almost imagine Labs as your virtual dream team, right? You've got a researcher, a data analyst, a programmer, and a strategic consultant, all working together seamlessly in one go. Now, to access this, yeah, you do need a pro account. That's around $20 a month currently.
Yeah.
But honestly, the value you get back when you consider getting these assets in minutes versus potentially weeks of human effort,
Hmm.
it far exceeds that cost for most serious users.
Right. So it's really about going beyond just finding information, isn't it? It's about actively creating and building usable solutions based on that information.
Exactly. It analyzes deeply, and then it builds concrete, usable tools and assets.
Okay, that makes sense.
Hmm.
So if this is like an elite team you're bringing onto your desktop, the obvious question for a lot of listeners is probably, how do you talk to it? How do you direct it effectively? Simple, kind of vague questions probably aren't going to cut it here, right? You need to brief this virtual team properly.
Precisely. You can't just throw out a casual one-liner and expect a masterpiece back. You need what amounts to a detailed project brief. And we found there's a proven 7-step framework that's incredibly effective. It helps you get superior, sometimes really astonishing results from labs. First, define the role and goal. And this isn't just fluff. If you tell it, act as a chief strategy officer, and your goal is to create a detailed market entry plan, it genuinely changes the AI's perspective and the depth of the output. Second, audience and context. Who exactly needs this output? This report is for the board of directors, and why do they need it? To decide on budget allocation for Q3, context is key. Third, data and sources. Give it specific files if you have them, like here's the CSV with our sales data, or provide crucial background info it needs to understand the situation. Fourth, the analytical framework. Be specific. Don't just say, analyze this, tell it how. Perform a SWOT analysis, or apply the PESTLE model, or use Porter's 5 forces. This guides its strategic thinking process. Fifth, output specifications. Describe the exact format you want. Create an interactive dashboard with 3 main charts showing X, Y, and Z, or export this as a fully functional Excel spreadsheet with these specific columns. Sixth, style and tone. Set the communication style you need. Use a professional, formal, data-driven tone, or maybe make it concise and easy for a non-expert to understand. And finally, seventh, quality and success criteria. Define what good looks like for this specific task. Success means the report clearly identifies 3 immediately actionable opportunities for revenue growth. This whole structure, these 7 steps, they turn vague requests into really clear directives. And that clarity is where the magic really happens with labs.
Yeah, I have to admit, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself sometimes, you know? That frustrating thing where your AI chat just kind of wanders off from what you originally wanted. This framework sounds like it really helps lock it onto the target. What would you say is the biggest benefit of being that specific with the AI?
It fundamentally ensures the AI truly understands your precise needs, which minimizes wasted time and effort and gets you closer to the exact output you wanted the first time.
Okay. This is where, for me, it gets really exciting. We've talked about what Perplexity Labs is and how to talk to it effectively using that framework. Now let's get practical. How can we actually use this tool to build things for our businesses? Not just get answers, but actually construct solutions. This feels like the really transformative part.
Absolutely. This is the application layer. And yeah, it's incredibly powerful. We've identified about 9 distinct strategic applications you can use labs for, like right now, to build actual solutions. Let's maybe highlight a few key ones. Okay, so for example, use case 1, build a sustainable business growth system. Instead of, fumbling around or maybe paying tens of thousands for consultants, Perplexity Labs can build a detailed roadmap. It actually creates a comprehensive strategy report, suggests a KPI tracking system, gives detailed recommendations for team structure, outlines like a 24-month scaling timeline, and even builds a robust financial projection model based on your inputs. The strategic benefit here, you get what looks like a professional-grade growth plan in under 30 minutes. That replaces weeks, maybe months, of traditional research and planning. Just think about that competitive edge. Then there's use case 3. Validate your product idea before building. This one tackles what is probably, for most entrepreneurs, the most costly mistake: building something nobody actually wants to buy. Labs helps you create a systematic validation workflow. It generates a market demand analysis report, a kind of product validation scorecard, suggests relevant A/B testing methods, and can even build a little mini app to track your validation progress and customer feedback. The strategic benefit here is just huge. You minimize your risk of failure significantly by making decisions based on actual evidence, not just gut feelings or assumptions. Another really powerful one is use case 7. Build a content repurposing engine. Look, producing fresh content constantly is exhausting, right? I know it is. Labs can design a system to take one core piece of content, say a long-form YouTube video you spent ages on, and turn it into dozens of different formats for various platforms.
It can analyze content performance, create a detailed repurposing workflow, give you optimization guidelines for each platform, like how do you turn that video into an SEO-friendly blog post, or an email nurture series, or engaging social media snippets. It maps it out. The strategic benefit: you maximize the value of every single hour you invest in content creation. This could potentially reduce your new content creation time by something like 60%, while massively increasing your audience reach. And maybe one more quick example, use case 9. Create a business process automation analyzer. If you feel like you're drowning in manual repetitive tasks, Labs can analyze your current workflows. It identifies the top automation opportunities, even providing clear ROI projections for each. It can create an interactive dashboard to visualize this, recommend specific automation tools with cost-benefit breakdowns, and lay out a phased implementation roadmap. The strategic benefit is pretty clear. You could reduce manual work by up to 60%, allowing you to make intelligent, data-driven investments in automation that free up your team for higher value, more creative work. And beyond just these four, we're seeing really cool applications for things like developing niche domination strategies, accelerating personal brand growth, building sophisticated competitive intelligence systems, optimizing dynamic pricing, and even generating genuinely insightful thought leadership content. Whoa! Just thinking about that. Imagine creating a full business growth plan or properly validating a new product idea in minutes, not months. That's really like stacking Lego blocks of data and analysis into a complete actionable strategy right before your eyes.
That's quite a range of applications. Thinking about someone listening who's maybe just starting out, maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed by all the possibilities. Which of these use cases, in your experience, might provide the fastest, most immediate kind of value? Where's a good place to start?
I'd say likely validating a new product idea, purely because it helps you avoid potentially very costly mistakes right at the beginning. That's immediate risk reduction. Mid-roll sponsor read.
All right, so we've got the formula, that 7-step framework for commanding Perplexity Labs. We've seen the sheer power and the range of potential applications. But like any powerful tool, there's using it, and then there's mastering it. How do you truly get the most out of this? Beyond just the basics, how do you continually optimize your results and maybe avoid some common pitfalls?
That's a great point. To really master Labs and get consistent high-quality results, there are a few practical tips and maybe some advanced techniques to keep in mind. First, schedule recurring reports. This is super powerful for ongoing analysis. You can often set up Labs, maybe in your account settings, to automatically rerun certain analyses on a schedule. Think like a monthly competitor watch report or a quarterly market trends analysis. It just runs itself and updates you. Second, download everything. Seriously. Labs creates downloadable assets for almost everything it builds. Save the charts as image files, the spreadsheets as Excel or CSV, the dashboard sometimes as code snippets or configuration files. These are incredibly valuable for future reference, for sharing, for integrating into other work. Don't just leave them in the chat history. Third, really lean into asking follow-up questions. Don't just accept the first output and stop. Labs is designed for iteration. You can dig deeper, ask it to refine strategies, request more specific data points, or clarify something that seems unclear. Treat it like a real conversation with your virtual team. Push for more detail, challenge assumptions. Fourth, and this is really crucial, I think, especially for major business decisions, compare and cross-reference. Look, while Labs is incredibly impressive, no single AI is perfect or has all the answers. For critical strategic calls, it's just good practice to cross-reference its findings or recommendations with other leading AI tools. Maybe run a similar query in Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT. Each AI has slightly different strengths, different training data, different ways of reasoning. Synthesizing multiple AI perspectives gives you a much more robust and well-rounded picture before you commit to a big decision. And finally, just a practical tip. Start simple. Don't feel like you need to try all 9 use cases tomorrow. That's overwhelming. Pick the one application that addresses your single biggest business challenge right now. Focus on mastering that specific use case first. Get comfortable with the process. Build your confidence. Then, once you've got that down, expand from there, step by step.
That point about cross-referencing with other AIs is really interesting. Why is that specifically so crucial for those really major decisions? What's the core benefit of taking that extra step, that multi-AI approach?
Because each AI essentially provides a unique lens on the problem. Combining those different perspectives gives you a more comprehensive, more nuanced understanding than relying on just one viewpoint. It helps spot potential biases or gaps.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let's bring this deep dive toward a close then and maybe recap the big ideas we've unpacked today. Perplexity Labs really seems to represent a genuinely new category of AI tool, doesn't it? It doesn't just retrieve information for you, it actively builds complete strategic solutions. Think of it, like we discussed, as that virtual consulting team capable of delivering professional-grade analysis, building tangible assets in minutes, not the weeks or months we're used to. And the real key to unlocking its full power, getting those really impressive, sometimes astonishing results, lies in the specificity of your instructions, using that comprehensive 7-step prompt framework we walked through.
Absolutely. And that investment, around $20 a month, it can deliver truly invaluable strategic insights and just massive time savings for almost any business. So we really encourage you, if this sounds interesting, to actually try one of these strategies this week. Pick the use case that really tackles your most pressing business challenge right now and just give it a shot. So, yeah, what does all this really mean for you, the listener, going forward?
Well, I think the future of business strategy isn't just going to be about having access to information or even just having more information than the next person.
Right. It's increasingly going to be about having tools that can intelligently turn that raw information into actionable plans, into interactive dashboards you can use daily, into automated systems that actually work for you 24/7.
And it seems like Perplexity Labs brings that future, brings those capabilities directly into your business starting today. Thanks so much for diving deep with us on this. Until next time, keep learning and keep building.